Hi, I'm Reverend Sheena Metal, and welcome to Saturday Night Spiritual here at Founders Metropolitan Community Church. We're here the second Saturday of every month at 5 o'clock Pacific time. We are a universal, light-based, love-filled service for whatever your spiritual beliefs are. Anywhere you are in the spiritual spectrum, whatever your spiritual palette looks like, you belong here at Saturday Night Spiritual. Our community page is SaturdayNightSpiritual.com. And of course, foundersmcc.org for the church. And if you are looking to watch some past services of Saturday Night Spiritual, you can go to Rev Sheena, foundersmcc.com. And they're all listed there for your viewing pleasure. And of course, we have a fantastic YouTube page for Founders MCC with a lot of archived stuff. We have a wonderful Facebook page with not just archived services, but broadcasts and all kinds of information, fantastic love-filled posts. I'm so honored to be a staff pastor and to be the interfaith pastor here at Founders MCC. What a fantastic group of people, and I'm so honored to be a part of what they do. This service is now in its 6th year. Can you believe that? We just celebrated in June. We celebrated 5 years of Saturday Night Spiritual. And I'm so honored to all of you who follow us and how fantastic it is to be able to do this every month. I am, as I said, Reverend Sheena Metal. I'm at SheenaMetalSpiritual.com. If you want to learn a little bit more about me and my past and the road that led me to become an indoctrined minister and to be have this wonderful gig at Founders MCC. So last night, I was sitting in on a friend's show. I have a friend that does a podcast, and I sit in on hers every couple weeks. So she does mine occasionally. We've been friends for a long time. And one of the other hosts on the show, it's an all-women kind of roundtable show with a guest, like The View, sort of. And one of the other co-hosts on the show had an experience where she had put a post up about something that the actor Elliot Page had said. And it was in regards to being misgendered, to people refusing to use Elliot's male pronouns, him, his, and so she had posted something about how, look, it's not for you to say what someone else's gender identification is, what somebody else's sexual preference identification is. If somebody tells you, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm non-binary, no matter what you think when you look at them, no matter what in your mind you think you're seeing, your responsibility as a human is to identify them in the way with which they want to be identified. So that was the post that my friend put up. And then, of course, it was a flood of people not believing that, people defending it, people saying it's wrong. And then last night on the show, there was a host on the show who didn't think she should have to get it straight. Because some people feel like, especially folks of an older generation, and by that I'm including my generation, Generation X, who believe I don't have to identify you the way you want to be identified because that's not convenient for me. So on the show, that prompted me to tell a story that I tell many times on my own shows and when I speak in front of audiences. I have a friend who is a dolphin communicator. If that's too woo-woo for you, then forgive me. So I asked him, why is it that dolphins do such wonderful work with folks on the autism spectrum, folks that are having trouble with violent outbursts, folks that are nonverbal, folks that are not making any kind of eye contact or communication with other humans, will get in the water and swim with the dolphins and literally emerge a different person, a person who feels much more comfortable in their skin. And what my dolphin communicator friend said to me which I think is so interesting, was a dolphin meets you where you're at. Wherever you're at, whoever you are, however you represent yourself, a dolphin will meet you there. A human being expects you to meet them where they're at. And that's always stuck in my head. I think in my entire life, that is one of the truest things anybody has ever said to me. Humans, my mama used to say, we're just smart enough to be dangerous. We think we're the top of the food chain. And I always say, every time we say that, a dolphin, an elephant, and a raven laughs, probably an orca. And we believe that we know everything, that we're smarter than all the creatures of the earth. And we know it all. And we have it all figured out, and it's all about us. So if I look at you, and I decide that you look like a woman to me, even though you're telling me you identify as a man, well, I know better because I'm a human being. So you are what I say you are. That is a thing that humans do. We decide. We make gross statements, right? Everyone who's voting for so-and-so is a such and such. Everybody who goes to this church is a that. Everybody who lives in this region of the world is this. Irish people are alcoholics, and Italian people are all in the mafia. Now, those are my two ethnicities, so I can make jokes about them. I won't make jokes about anybody else's. We think we can assess a situation, and we decide what it is. And I remember when my mom and I would have discussions about this when I was little. And she would tell me that human beings were just smart enough to be dangerous. She would always say afterwards, yes, but, human beings can think whatever they think. They can decide whatever they decide. But we are not God. We're not God. We're not here to pass judgment on other creatures of the earth and decide what they are and who they are. We're not here to decide all men are this, all women are this, non-binary folks are this. One of my favorites is cats don't have feelings. I know that's a weird one out of left field, but I had to throw it at you all. Cats don't have feelings. The only reason the cat pretends to love you is because you're feeding it. And I always say about my little boy Cullen, brother Cullen, the smallest deacon at Founders MCC, the littlest Saturday night spiritual volunteer. I always say that, look, I would feed him anyhow. I don't ask him to come wrap his arms around me and kiss me. And he always has a bowl full of food, and he's always got a jar full of treats, and he's always got a fountain filled with water. He doesn't need to come suck up to me to get the food. The food's already there. He hugs me because he loves me. I'm getting teary. And I love him. No, cats don't have feelings, right? No cats have feelings. All raccoons are dangerous. I watch these videos on Instagram. Raccoons are loving on their people. Domesticated raccoons, they're hugging the dog, they're kissing the cat, they're letting the bird ride on their back. I think it comes from a place of fear. Human beings can be very fear-based organisms. That we decide how everything in the world is. And then we pass judgment. But when we do that, we're not only doing a disservice to others on the earth, but we're doing an enormous disservice to ourselves by looking at everything through this myopic tube of this is the way everything has to be because that's what I say. We're missing out on the good parts of life, which are the experiences, right? Why does somebody who was born one way decide that inside of them they were always something else and then make the choice to transition to what they truly are in their heart? What is that like? I want to get to know that person. I want to know their story. I want to know why. So today I was eating lunch, and our server had a mask on. And I always want to know about the masks now, right? Are we supposed to wear them? Are we not supposed to wear them? They say last summer was the worst COVID summer since 2020. Like, I go to the pharmacy, I wear the mask there because, sick people go there. And people look at me like I'm, a one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater. But so I pulled my server aside and I said, so the mask, how often do you wear it? And how often should I be wearing mine? It's nice to see that people are still wearing them, so I'm not the only crazy one at the CVS in my mask. And my server said to me, well, I'm transitioning. And it makes me feel more comfortable for people not to see my face right now. Well, I didn't think that was going to be the answer. I thought it was COVID. We just blame everything on COVID. I blamed it on COVID. So I guess in this person's heart, they're covering, right? It's like a sculpture. They're covering for the reveal, for when they feel like they have the face they want to show to the world. Now, there are some humans who would probably think, oh, what's that about? I don't understand that. Why are you doing that? Same face. What do you think you're doing? I was fascinated. That was not the answer that I thought I was going to get. I was fascinated. I asked more questions, and I made sure to be gentle and open in the questions I asked, because I think sometimes we as humans can be accidentally condescending, and I never want to be like that. But I kind of understand that, because I think in a lot of ways we all wear a mask. We're all not showing ourselves all the time. Some people wear a spiritual mask because they don't want to go into the details of everything they believe. They don't want to deal with, because your spiritual spectrum place can be complicated. God knows mine is. Over my mantle, I've just got everything framed, so excited. There is a picture of Buddha. There's a picture of Ganesh, the Hindu deity, who I love. How do you not love the remover of obstacles, who's also an elephant? It's like a deity made just for me. And there's a picture of Jesus. If you had told me when I lived in very conservative Orange County, an hour south of Los Angeles, growing up in the 80s, that I would put a picture of Jesus on my wall, I would have laughed at you. But Jesus has come back into my life, because now, especially since being here and being pastored at Founders MCC, I am more in touch with the teachings of Christ, which my mother always believed in, and not necessarily what human beings who think they know everything do in the name of Christ. But I think when people come to my house to do work, sometimes they're like, then you come into my office, and on this side, there's a curio cabinet full of all of my ascended masters. There's the Egyptian goddess Bast. There is Ganesh. There's the pagan goddess, the goddess, as we Irish folks call her. There is St. Patrick, St. Nicholas, St. Francis, St. Bridget, all my favorite saints that I work with. There's Abraham Lincoln, who has been a spiritual mentor to me since I was born. There is Lucky Cat. There's Yoda. There's every cool thing that has influenced me. There's Buddha and Kuan Yin. There are elephants, and there are cats, who are very much animal totems for me. Then you go this way, and that's my white witchcraft cabinet. And there's all kinds of fun and also some serious white witchcraft things in there. You can make your spiritual palette whatever you make it. But sometimes it gets complicated. Sometimes our genders are complicated. Sometimes it's not just man, woman, non-binary, trans man, trans woman. Sometimes not. Sometimes it's other stuff. I'm a member of the intersex community. If you want to know what I think about my gender, you got 20 minutes, I'll explain it to you. But we have a right, as my friend was saying in her Facebook post, we have a right to decide how we are going to identify ourselves. And your job as a creature of the earth is to say, okay. My cat doesn't really act like a cat. He sort of acts a little bit like a puppy, a little bit like a monkey, a little bit like a fairy. There might be a little leprechaun in there. He is who he is. And we love people and animals and every creature of the earth. We love them for who they are, where they're at. My dolphin communicator friend says, be the dolphin. He always said when I interviewed him, he said, Sheena, you're like a dolphin because you interview people where they're at. You give people the interview that they want. And then you make it so that others understand them when they listen. Biggest compliment anyone's ever paid me, be the dolphin. This is what Spirit wants for us. This is the message of God. This is the teachings of Christ. This is the teachings of Buddha. This is the teachings of Krishna. This is a lot of different New Age teachings. Meet others halfway. Find out what someone else wants. And find a way to take what you want and what someone else wants and meet them halfway. And that goes for romantic relationships, platonic relationships, family relationships, biological, legal, chosen, and other, work relationships, your relationship with your church, your relationship with different clubs and groups that you belong to. Meet someone where they're at. When someone tells you who they are, your job is to believe them. Now, there's that Maya Angelou quote, right? When people try to tell you who they are, believe them. That's not the positive side of people. But let's take that quote from that brilliant author, from Maya Angelou, and let's flip it to a positive. When someone tries to tell you who they are, believe them. It's your responsibility as a citizen of the universe to believe people when they are telling you who they are. Not to start asking a bunch of questions and throwing a bunch of doubts and a bunch of wrenches in the wheel. Look, you can ask questions like, oh, that's interesting. What does that mean? But then, I don't think that's true. And I told the story on my friend's show last night, that growing up, first in the 80s, 90s, aughts, 10s, and now the 20s, as a bisexual woman, whom I now identify as pansexual because now there's more choices than just men and women. How many times have I said that in the queer community? And a homosexual person, a gay person or a lesbian person, has said to me, I don't believe that's a thing, but whatever. That would be like if you said to somebody, I was in an accident, I'm paralyzed, and I'm in this wheelchair. And somebody went, oh, yeah, I don't believe that's a thing, but whatever. Why would you say that to somebody? When someone's trying to tell you a little lovely thing about themselves, why do we feel we need to negate that? So for some people who are homosexual, they don't want to meet bisexual, gender fluid, transgender, genderqueer, intersex people in the middle. Because in their world, there is gay and there is straight, and that's what there is. This is what we as humans need to evolve out of. Because then what happens is people start to pull back. Like, I can't tell you who I really am because you're not going to accept it. So people begin to stifle their truth. And when people begin to stifle their truth, it upsets the balance of the universe. And I don't just mean people. So if you had a very loving dog and every time it came over for kisses, you kicked it, after a while, it would stop coming. It would sit in the corner and look at you uncomfortably, thinking if I try to show affection, I'm going to get kicked. Now, because of that, that dog will go from being an affectionate being to a cautious, distrustful, non-affectionate being. And the switch of that being from pure light into a place of reserve, that has changed the balance of the universe. Every being who changes themselves because of some kind of abuse, neglect, being ignored, being discounted by another being on the earth, changes the balance of the universe. Every time we knock somebody down, we lower the love, joy vibration. Every time we build somebody up, we raise the love, joy vibration. It's like the yin yang sign, right? You ever seen the yin yang sign? I probably have one here and I can't reach it because my arms aren't that long. It looks like two little amoebas in a circle, right? And where one can live, where the dark is, there's no light. Well, where the light is, there's no dark. And I'm going to Google it and hold it up during the service. That's what modern technology does for us. And that is a beautiful thing about the balance of dark and light, right? The balance of dark and light is that negativity can't live where positivity lives, and positivity can't live where negativity lives. So every time you add something positive to the world, you are swaying the world towards the positive. And every time you add something negative, you're swaying the world towards the negative. And you could say, well, I'm not being negative. I'm just saying, I don't believe you're that. I don't believe that's right. I don't believe in this. But do you see how that don't word over and over again? I don't believe, I don't believe, I don't believe. Well, and I'm going to be really blatantly honest here with you all. It's not for you to say, I don't believe. If something is on the earth, it is a positive thing. Now, negative things are, I can say, I don't believe in murdering people for no reason. I don't believe you should put kittens in a sack and throw them in the river. Negative things are a whole different thing. We're talking about positivity here. It's not for you to say, I don't believe. Kittens that act like puppies and children who are 5 years old, but they can recite the dictionary back to you, and people who were told they'd never walk again and defied the odds. People who've decided this body isn't working for me and I want one that works for me. It's not for you to say you don't believe in that, because God made that. And when you say you don't believe in it, this is why it always has blown my mind that so many people who say stuff like that claim to be spiritual, claim to be very religious. You are negating something that God made. You are telling a creature of God, I don't believe in you. And by saying that, aren't you really saying, I don't believe in God? I don't believe in what God made. Which in my mind, because, I'm an Aries and I can go from 0 to 500 in a second. In my mind, that says, I don't believe in this earth because God made that. I don't believe in the creatures of the earth because God made those. I don't believe in the word of God because there's certainly no No word from God that says, I don't believe, I don't believe, I don't believe. Jesus did not come here and say, oh, you know what? These 3 people are great. Everybody else sucks and I don't believe in them. So when you make those blanket statements, you're basically kicking everything that's good about heaven and earth and the universe just out the door. I don't believe in any of that. I don't care what God made. It's all hooey. We have to learn to meet people halfway. And also, we expect them to meet us halfway. And that's great. Because when you meet someone halfway, and if this doesn't happen, then you're dealing with the wrong people. When you meet someone in the middle, then you're telling them you would like them to meet you in the middle. You're accepting them, they're accepting you, and you may be very different. There may be some things that are hard to understand. I'll give you an example. I completely understand the transgender community, and I completely understand why anybody would transition. But being an intersex person and not really feeling like spiritually I have a gender, although culturally on the outside in the 3-dimensional world, I was raised a woman. I love being a woman. I'm very proud of being a woman sociologically, culturally, politically, super proud to be a woman. But because at my core, I don't have a gender and I don't care about gender, sometimes it's a little, boo! I go, wow, there are people on the earth that care enough about their gender to go through a lot of emotional and physical and spiritual stuff to put themselves in the right body. I can't imagine ever doing that because for me, no matter what gender I am, like if I'm like right now, I'm a woman, I feel like I'm wearing a costume. If tomorrow I came and did the show in a suit with a mustache, I would still feel like I was wearing a costume. I'm fascinated that people can actually not feel like they're wearing a costume. But I would never say, oh, I don't believe in that. You don't have to have a personal experience with something to believe in it. You know, I loathe onions like it's bad. It's hard for me to understand why people like onions. But I see people loving onions on everything. So there must be something great about onions that I'm missing. And so, great. I hope everybody loves their onions. And I will meet people halfway and support their love of onions. And sometimes when they cook and they serve me the food and it's full of onions, I very gingerly remove the onions and then tuck it under a piece of bread so no one knows I did it. Everything doesn't have to be about you and what you believe in and who you are. And that's the beauty of truly meeting somebody halfway. You don't have to get it at all. All you have to do is open up your heart to God and accept why that person believes what they do and understand that is a valid thing. And I support them. And I hope in understanding them, they will understand me. You know what? Probably a whole crop of my transgender friends are like, we don't really understand this intersex thing. We don't really know what it's about. And when you start talking about how gender doesn't matter to you, it's a little freaky. But we're meeting you halfway. And hopefully in doing that, you will get a better understanding about us, and I will get a better understanding about them. That is why we're here. You know, we're here to meet other beings in the middle and understand them. I deal with it all the time in my practice, in my work as a medium, when I contact folks who have crossed over. And sometimes their living loved ones are very upset because, well, that I don't think he would say that. I don't understand why he's not mad about that anymore. Well, because when you pass and you're no longer in this meat suit and you become one with spirit in the universe, there are things you don't care about anymore. Grudges and money and oh, this relative doesn't like that relative, and oh, one time you made me mad when I was 12. People, when they cross, they don't care about it anymore. They want to know, are their living loved ones okay? Is there love? They don't want them to feel pain. They want them to know they're supporting them from where they are. But sometimes living people, we get so stuck in our living stuff that they're sort of arguing with me about this lovely spirit who's trying to contact them because their loved one who has now in spirit is not acting enough like a person, and all the grudges that come with that. That's another example. When you want to communicate with someone who's crossed over, you got to meet them where they're at, because they're not going to be the same. If somebody gets sober, right? It's National Sobriety Month in September. If somebody gets sober and you choose not to get sober and you want to stay friends, then you have to find a way to meet each other in the middle where you understand. I want people to respect that I'm still drinking, using, but I respect that my friend has chosen to become sober, and I respect them. Can you see, as I'm using these examples, about how much of the world is really about meeting each other halfway? That's why in politics, right, we have treaties and we have, resolutions with treaties. We all sit down and shake hands and say, okay, you may want this and I may want this, but here's our compromise. Life is about compromise. Love is about compromise. Governments deal in compromise. Your life path, your spiritual path, it's all about compromise. That's why in the spiritual world, I use words all the time like surrender, release, let go. As long as you're deciding that your life has to be this one rigid way, and anybody who doesn't like it can get out, then like I said at the beginning of the service, you are doing yourself the biggest disservice by doing that. Because you're not growing. You're not learning. You're not evolving. You're not becoming more enlightened. You're stagnant. You have sat down on your path and you're not moving forward. And it's all because you don't want to take the time and you don't want to make the effort to expand your mind, to grow your soul, to grow your heart, to think about what it's like to put yourself in someone else's shoes and maybe learn something. I learned today from my wonderful server that here is a human being who is transitioning. I'm not even 100% sure in which direction my server was transitioning, because there was such a beautiful androgynous mix in front of me that I didn't know and I didn't ask, because it doesn't matter. It's a human being trying to find their true self. I don't care if somebody's transitioning into a zebra. I want everyone to find their true self. And the idea that this person felt uncomfortable showing their face until the final project is being revealed, right? The big showing of this person having their face look like who they want it to look like. I think that's beautiful. This mug, Who knows about this? I just stick it out all over everywhere. It's in pictures all over the internet. Is that a good idea? I don't know. Showing it to you right now. There are times where I wish I could wear a mask for a while and then emerge with the face that I've always wanted. But at this point, this is the face I've always wanted. I thought that when I was younger, I was going to fix this. I need more of a chin. I need less of a nose. I need whatever. Now, you know what? I'm 57 years old. I'm happy just to have a face. But I respect that that person has made that decision to wait to reveal the face when it is the face that makes them happy. Sometimes my cat disappears for 8 hours of the day. I don't know where he is. He's somewhere sleeping. He's probably found some old piece of furniture in storage in my spare room, and he's crawled up there. I don't know where he is. But it's not for me to be like, where's that cat? I'm sitting here right now and no one's playing with me. No, he's doing his thing. Okay. We meet each other where we're at. Sometimes he wants snuggles. I'm not really in the mood. I snuggle anyhow. Sometimes I want to hold him. He's not in the mood. He puts up with it. That is what loving another being is. Meeting each other halfway. We all need to learn it, friends. We need to meet everyone in the middle. We need to find a place where we can get along. And boy, do we need this now more than ever in our country right now. We are so divided politically, sociologically, culturally, financially. We need to find a way to meet each other in the middle so we can grow this country, grow this world, grow our states and cities and communities from a place of positivity. I don't have to feel like how you feel. I don't have to worship where you worship. I don't have to live my life like you live yours. You could be living your life, eating onion after onion after onion, and I will still meet you in the middle and love you. We need to make that happen. Will you join me? Will you promise that you're going to try to, for the next, how many days of recovery month do we have left? For the next 18 days, we'll just go through September. You are going to make an effort every day to meet somebody in the middle that you are different from. And find a way that the two of you can live more in harmony and still remain yourselves. That's your homework. I'm Reverend Sheena Metal. This is Saturday Night Spiritual. We're here on the second Saturday of the month at 5 o'clock Pacific time. We're at SaturdayNightSpiritual.com, foundersmcc.org. Find our founders YouTube page. Find our founders Facebook page. And of course, I'm at SheenaMetalSpiritual.com and Rev Sheena FoundersMCC.com. Help us to help you to help others. We'd love if you would donate. And please mention Saturday Night Spiritual. The easiest way is to text 77977. And you can also donate through foundersmcc.org. And don't forget, we've got some special services coming up. Online are the last 2 weeks for National Recovery Month. So our pastors are going through the 12 steps. So 9-1 was steps 1 through 3, 9-8 is steps 4 through 7, and then of course tomorrow steps 8 through 10, and on September 27th steps 11 and 12. You don't have to be an addict to understand the 12 steps. It's a wonderful way to learn to meet people in the middle. It's a wonderful way to learn to respect others. Bill W. had the right idea. There's a lot of good stuff in there. I'm not a person who has ever drank, never done a drug, never smoked a cigarette, never smoked marijuana. I've never had coffee, only an ice cream. Hugely addicted to sugar. I'm now 3 months sober from sugar. But I respect that program and what it's done for people. And I respect anybody who wants to use anything to get help and improve themselves, because every day we're on the earth, we are hopefully getting better. I love that quote, right? You either get bitter or you get better. Get better every day. Find something about yourself you want to change a little bit and get better. Until I see you next time, this is what you can do for me. Seek peace. Live in love every day. Lead with kindness all the time. Embrace unity. I know it's a hard one. The embracing of the unity. We got to work on it. We got to get it happening in this world. Always work to raise your vibration. Keep it up. Positivity and joy. Raise that thing up. And most importantly, know this. You are love. You are the embodiment of love. That is how God made you. You are love, and you are loved. Thank you to Founders MCC for allowing me to be a beautiful part of your beautiful organization, and to our senior pastor, Keith Mazingo, who is the wind beneath my wings. It's an honor to be here the second Saturday of every month. I'm Reverend Sheena. I love you all. I'm on your side. I'm in your court. I believe you can do this. Let's all meet each other halfway. I'll see you next month. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care of you.